Welcome to a moment of quiet reflection in a world that too often rushes past its true artists. Today, the news hits like a sudden storm over the misty hills of feudal Japan. Tatsuya Nakadai, that unyielding force of cinema, has left us at the age of 92. It was just announced, a simple line in the papers, but it carries the weight of epics, of battles fought in silence and souls laid bare under the unrelenting gaze of the camera. Nakadai wasn't one for the spotlight's glare. He preferred the shadows, where a man's true measure emerges, not in bombast, but in the flicker of an eye, the subtle crack in a warrior's armor. And yet, for over 7 decades, he illuminated the golden age of Japanese film, collaborating with titans like Akira Kurosawa and Masaki Kobayashi, turning their visions into something eternal, something that whispers across generations. As we sit with this loss, let's not mourn the end, but wander through the vast landscape of his life and work, piecing together the man who made us see the poetry in power's fall, the humanity in history's harsh lines. Born Motohisa Nakadai on a crisp December day in 1932, in the bustling heart of Tokyo, he grew up in the shadow of war's thunder, a boy navigating the rubble of a nation remaking itself. Life wasn't scripted for stardom. He started as a clerk in a department store, folding fabrics and dreaming of stages far removed from the daily grind. But something stirred in him, that restless pull toward expression, toward becoming more than the role society handed him. In 1954, at 22, he answered the call of the Hayuza theater troupe, a collective of young idealists hungry for post-war renewal through art. It was grueling, 3 years of training that honed his body and voice into instruments of precision. But it forged him, turning a wide-eyed novice into a performer who could command silence as fiercely as a shout. His film debut came almost by accident that same year, a fleeting appearance in Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, where he played a nameless young ronin, barely a whisper in the ensemble's roar. You can spot him in the crowd, that tall frame already hinting at the intensity to come, a figure on the periphery who would soon step into the fire. But Nakadai's true awakening arrived in 1956 with Kon Ichikawa's The Thick-Walled Room, a stark prison drama that peeled back the myths of wartime heroism. As a POW, recounting his shattered ideals, he didn't just act, he embodied the quiet rage of a generation betrayed by blind loyalty. Critics noticed, how could they not? And suddenly, this newcomer was no longer folding shirts, but folding audiences into his spell. From there, his path intertwined with Masaki Kobayashi, a director whose lens cut like a seppuku blade, exposing the rot beneath society's polished surface. Their partnership became legendary, spanning 11 films that formed the backbone of Nakadai's early brilliance. Think of the Human Condition trilogy, that monumental 1959 to 1961 odyssey where he plays Kaji, a conscientious objector thrust into the meat grinder of Imperial Japan's moral collapse. Over 9 hours of screen time, Nakadai doesn't just portray a man's descent, he lives it, his face a map of eroding hope, from the idealistic teacher in Part 1 to the hollow survivor in the frozen finale. It's exhausting to watch, and that's the point. Kobayashi and Nakadai force you to confront the human cost of ideology, the way good intentions curdle into complicity. Then came Harakiri in 1962, Kobayashi's savage deconstruction of Bushido honor, where Nakadai arrives as Hanshiro Tsugumo, a ronin seeking ritual suicide in a clan's courtyard. What unfolds is no mere tale of vengeance, but a scalpel to the samurai code itself, with Nakadai's performance a masterclass in controlled fury. He begins as a ghost, frail and deferential, his voice a threadbare whisper that unravels the Lord's hypocrisies thread by thread. By the end, as swords clash in the rain-slicked garden, he's a tempest, his eyes burning with the accumulated scorn of centuries. It's one of those roles that redefines an actor, not through histrionics, but through the weaponized pause, the way he lets silence indict more than words ever could. Nakadai's kinship with Kobayashi wasn't just professional, it was philosophical. Two souls dissecting the illusions of power in a society still grappling with its atomic scars. Yet for all that depth and drama, Nakadai craved the sweep of spectacle, and it was Kurosawa who drew him into the realm of myth. Their first real collision was Yojimbo. In 1961, where Toshiro Mifune's nameless wanderer strides into town like a rogue god, but it's Nakadai's Unasuke who steals the undercurrent. As the pistol-packing gangster son, modern in his western suit amid kimonos, he embodies the clash of old and new, a venomous upstart whose cool sadism contrasts Mifune's earthy grit. Watch the duel in the brothel. Nakadai doesn't rush, he saunters, gun glinting like a promise of obsolescence, his smirk a blade that slices through tradition. Kurosawa later said Nakadai brought a chilling modernity to the role, a harbinger of the violence to come in Japan's transformation. They reunited in Sanjuro and High and Low, but it was the late epics that crowned him. Kagemusha, in 1980, after a decade apart, saw Nakadai in the dual role of the dying warlord Takeda Shinjin and the petty thief who assumes his shadow. It's a film about illusion's fragility, and Nakadai navigates it with exquisite duality, the thief's initial clumsiness giving way to a haunted gravitas, as if the weight of borrowed identity slowly reshapes the soul. That famous opening, with the double's hand emerging from behind the screen, it's Nakadai's genius that makes the imposture feel profound, a meditation on how we all wear masks until they wear us. The Battle of Nagashino sequence, with its thundering cavalry and crimson banners, isn't just spectacle. Through his eyes, it's the terror of a man realizing power's hollowness, tumbling from the cliff in a fall that's as spiritual as physical. Then, 5 years later, Ran, Kurosawa's thunderous King Lear transplant, where Nakadai unleashes as Lord Hidatora Ichimonji, the aging daimyo whose hubris fractures his empire and mind. This is peak Nakadai, a performance that starts regal, his white-robed figure dominating the horizon like a storm god, but erodes into raw animal vulnerability. The third act's descent, as he wanders the ruins of his castle, makeup smeared like war paint, screaming at phantom foes. It's Shakespearean in its terror, yet utterly Japanese in its restraint. Kurosawa pushed him to the brink, filming that madness over months, and Nakadai emerged not broken, but transcendent, proving that true acting is alchemy, turning personal reserve into universal ache. His eyes, those deep wells of sorrow, hold the film's soul. Betrayal's sting, regret's flood, making Ran not just a tragedy, but a mirror to our own fragile thrones. Beyond these giants, Nakadai's canvas sprawled wide, the ghostly menace of Kwaidan's anthology, the inexorable doom in the Sword of Doom, where his Ryonosuke stalks like a demon unbound, sword dripping with the blood of his own unraveling. He danced with Hideo Gosha and Hitokiri, essayed quiet heartaches in Mikio Narusa's domestic elegies, even lent his gravitas to international curios like The Face of Another. And through it all, the stage called him back. Hayuza remained his anchor, where he'd vanish into Ibsen or Chekhov, reminding us acting was craft, not commodity. Married to actress Tomoe Ryu from 1957 until her passing in 1996, he spoke little of private pains, but infused them into his work, that undercurrent of stoic endurance. Awards piled like autumn leaves. The Order of Culture in 2016, Blue Ribbon honors, Kinema Jumpo nods, but he waved them off, ever the artisan. Even in his 90s, he graced stages and screens, a testament to discipline's quiet fire. Now, with his departure on this autumn Tuesday, we feel the void, but also the fullness he leaves. Nakadai taught us that cinema isn't escape, it's excavation, unearthing the shadows we carry to better face the light. In Ran's final blaze, as Hidetora's world crumbles, there's a blind monk chanting of impermanence. All is vanity, all is illusion. Nakadai made that truth visceral, not abstract. So here's to you, Tatsuya Nakadai, the chameleon who never faded, the warrior who bowed with grace. Your shadows linger, your voices echo, and in every frame you graced, we find not loss, but the infinite. Thank you for the stories. Fade to black.